Hello again. Actually, I did miss a couple of things. Sorry. The name of the actress, the French Tunisian actress, is Sohaila Yaqub. She's somebody to look out for in the future. And to comment again on why I didn't like Dune Part 1, I've just realized recently that a movie that's actually significantly better than it is what, you won't believe this, Stargate. Now, I wasn't that blown away by Stargate when it came out. I saw it on video. But looking back on it, it's actually a very good science fiction movie, and it's better than Dune Part 1. One, it's a proper science fiction movie where the whole emphasis is on adventure and exploration of the unknown and piecing together a picture of the past and looking for the missing symbols so they can find the way to make the Stargate take them back home, and exploring the planet that they're on, the desolate desert planet. Much more of a desolate desert planet than Arrakis and Dune Part 1. So it's a proper science fiction movie. It's very likable at the level of the characters. Kevin Spader, Kurt Russell, they fit their roles perfectly. The four-eyed geek, the guy whose whole life is knowledge and staying alive for knowledge, and Kurt Russell's kind of nihilistic soldier, but good, dependable man, brave man, but again has no prospects beyond being a soldier, which is of course heartbreaking. And the whole dynamics of the geeks and the nerds compared to the beefcake soldiers, and also it's good at the level of the vision of the alien society. It's bigger scale production actually than I remember. The floating pyramid and the scarab beetles flying through the air, and also the desert city. And also, wouldn't you know it, the desert city is populated by people who actually look North African or Mediterranean, which is a lot. Sorry, a lot more than I can say for Dune Part 1. Wait, just give me a second. Oh dear, the electricity's just got cut. That's why the fan stopped working. I can finish this. Don't worry. Yeah. So, yeah, sorry about that. We have all this sunlight and we don't have enough electricity. Anyway, in the world, can't imagine what would happen on a desert planet. But anyway, yeah. So Stargate, and also Stargate has the whole the moral message, the political subtext to it, which I didn't understand at the time. Now that I'm older, reasonably older, I can understand it. Kurt Russell is nihilistic and suicidal because his son killed himself by accident. Why? Because his son was playing around with his father's gun. Why is that? The boy wanted to be like his father, a hero. And why did the father leave the gun at the home to begin with? To protect his home. He sees his job as a father and a soldier that way. But in the process, his son killed himself by accident, trying to be a man, trying to be like his dad. And he took his job as a soldier too seriously, constantly on guard, constantly, enemies everywhere. And you realize that the Stargate was a early post Cold War movie, like The Rock, where America was kind of being given the choice to put the past behind it, the Cold War past of paranoia and spying on its population and militarism and aggression, and sort of embrace the world, embrace peace. And you see that in The Rock. You have Sean Connery. He's singing in the shower when you're in San Francisco. Remember to put flowers in your hair. And he escaped the last time in San Francisco, again in the Summer of Love, protests against the Vietnam War. And he steals the Humvee, which is a military type vehicle, and he squashes, of course, a Volkswagen Beetle with a Greenpeace sign on it. So this is a very intelligent movie and tremendous amount of fun. And Stargate was part of that similar kind of genre, that early post-Cold War genre. It's a sophisticated movie. It doesn't look like that, but it's actually a very sophisticated movie. And it's a proper science fiction movie, and it's fun. It just needed a bit more action and a bit more grandness in certain places. And you had the effeminate bad guy, like Baron Harkonnen. And the bad guy in Transporter, when he gives the envelope to what's his name, Jason Statham, he gropes his hand while he's giving it to it. That's a kind of classic motif of the bad guy, and that's what the Baron Harkonnen is. And of course, the bad guys in the James Bond movies are always stroking a cat. Just let me pull the plug just in case the electricity comes back and burns things. So yeah, there's some extra points to say about Dune Part 2 compared to Dune Part 1. And Dune Part 1, some tantalizing evidence of the bad writing, forensic evidence. Watch Cinema Sins about Dune Part 1, and they say that you have the scene where he's having the tablet projector talking about exposition scene. And they talk about meters and they talk about feet in the same scene. So again, it's like two different script writers were writing, one using imperial units from the English Empire and the other one using the modern metric system. And nobody bothered to check for consistency between the two versions of the script, or the rewriting and the older version. So that's how sloppy Dune Part 1 was. And it's inexcusable. They had the time, they had the money, they had the people to do it. And despite the fact that they filmed it in two Arabic countries, the Emirates and Jordan, they couldn't find a single person even walking down the street, apparently, to tell them how to pronounce lisan al-ghaib. Lisan means tongue or voice, and ghaib is the other world, the world that you don't see, the afterlife, and the world of the angels and these kind of things, and the world of fate and the future. So lisan al-ghaib is a perfect way of saying it, but they can't get anybody to pronounce it properly, even though they're surrounded by Arabs. And they didn't bother to hire any of those Arabs in the movie. Thank heavens they got Sohaila Yaqub in the second movie. It made the movie much more palatable. More on the ritual sexual humiliation of men. In Dune Part 1, Paul is kind of the butt of all the jokes from the beginning to the end. And he's the one who makes the mistake of stepping on the hard sand that makes the loud noise which attracts the worm. And when they run away, his mother keeps on going and he trips and falls. And this whole mopey attitude with Gurney Halleck. The guy who really understood this perfectly was Professor Tosbot, great reviewer, where he's talking about the guys. He's modeled on Kylo Ren, in effect. He's a kind of mopey, annoying, emo teenager like Kylo Ren. But I think, partly it's this whole young adult attitude, but it's also this emasculation and humiliation of men. You see that with Duke Leto, when he's talking to his wife. Am I talking to my wife Jessica, or concubine, or am I talking to the Bene Gesserit? And this whole thing about the Bene Gesserit and that ridiculous, stupid scene with that spider-human hybrid thingy, and the woman telling the stupid spider, go away. It understands what I say pretty well. Again, everything is there to polish and exaggerate the Bene Gesserit, and in a dishonest way. Because I told you that Frank Herbert, when he wants to humiliate a woman, he can use a Bene Gesserit for it. So it's skin deep feminism and skin deep diversity. You have diversity quotas, but you don't have any Arab actors, and you can't have anybody who pronounces Arabic properly in Dune Part 1. And you have minority actors, but you kill them all off very quickly and you downgrade their characters. We talked about Wellington Yueh, we talked about Dr. Kynes, we talked about the Mentats and Clifford Howitt, etc., etc., etc. So I don't need to go over that all over again. I don't blame the director for that. He still has part of the responsibility as the director, but again, I think it's studio interference and probably Brian Herbert messing things up. And that's why they were able to fix a lot of that in the second movie, even though they still had lingering problems, like Paul, again, being a bit of a wuss and turning his back to the enemy in the beginning of that opening sequence with the Harkonnens, and his mother berating him. Which is lame because he's a guy who can hear the pitter-patter of feet on sand from behind him and can tell if somebody's imitating a sound or not. They quite conveniently forgot about that again to make fun of him. And him talking to Chani saying, I want to be like you. Do you mean like her or do you mean like the Fremen? And it's couched vaguely so you can't tell. Again, to humiliate him as a man. And then all of a sudden he mans up and, long live the fighters, and speaking in the Fremen tongue and doing charismatic stuff. And if he was a bit taller, maybe I'd buy into it. But he did a good performance, to be fair. It's just his appearance is wrong. They brought him to play the wuss, not the charismatic leader. Other problems with Dune Part 2, as much as I like it, the Harkonnens become stupid all of a sudden and only plan things at the last minute. They don't actually plan them. They will get the noble houses here, and then Fade Ruther can become the emperor. Fade Ruther is supposed to be part of his master plan from the beginning. If these people did this level of strategizing at the last minute, they would have been pulverized ages ago and lost their kingdoms, lost their noble households and planets. And Duke Leto, to his considerable credit, and I didn't realize this in the first movie, to my considerable uncredit, he actually was thinking strategically. He said, to take control of Arrakis and stay in control of this dangerous place, you have to have desert power as well as air power and sea power, which they originally had. And I was wrong. I didn't catch on to that, and that actually is in the novel. I made a mistake there. And, oh yeah, another thing I didn't like about Dune Part 1, Lady Jessica, she's dressed like a Danish dairy farmer's wife from the 19th century. She doesn't look like a lady. She doesn't look like a contessa. In the original novel, she objects to Chani because she sees that she's low class and not fit to be the wife of a duke. That's how classy and sassy Jessica is. She's badass, control her body, can snap somebody's neck like a twig, and at the same time is a lady. Now, the Lady Jessica, she's the classic, the lady. Would you believe it? I wrote a story once where a character, the wife of the hero, technically, and I call her the Lady so-and-so, and his little lady, because she's actually physically small. And she's a lady like she's the wife of the guy who runs a whole chunk of a planet. And people object, oh, you can't put that word in, that's sexist. No, it isn't. Haven't you read Dune? Don't you know the English language? You never heard of royalty and these kind of things? I don't know what the hell's happening to the world. English isn't English anymore. Bloody postmodernists. But that's enough for now. I'm going to shut this down because the old Christie's going to run out of the battery. Emad over and out.